But being brutally honest, coming at you with another video.
What's up, everybody? We got a special guest, and we're going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks for this weekly episode. Let's welcome my guy D Wiggins, man. How's it going?
Hey, man, always a pleasure, man. How you doing?
Oh yeah, likewise, man. Speaking of your off season, man, I think you got your wish going into this off season, man. Like I knew this was going to probably make your day. You're probably going to pop your champagne because no more Gino. Hello, Sam, man. It's got to be because I know you're probably one of the biggest critics when it comes to Gino.
Absolutely. I wasn't at first. I was really a big supporter of him, but the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I just seen it just wasn't a good look. The turnovers, the just the lack of taking care of the ball, and it just killed us. We lost a lot of key games because he couldn't just hold on to the ball or take care of the ball and manage the game. But I'm excited that we're going a new direction, and I'm giving Sam Darnold a chance. I mean, McDonald brought in Clint Kubiak, so he's familiar with his offensive system, and I think it's going to be a pretty comfortable fit for him in terms of him learning wherever the offense is, because we're going to go back to a running style, which is our strength and was our bread and butter for us being successful. So I'm pretty excited to see what happens.
Yeah. Like I think you go from a different quarterback that's familiar with your system, and he just happened to play for us for one season and kind of benefited and went to Minnesota. And then he got one of his best years. Now he's cashing in Seattle, so it's like you got to wait and see what happens. But it's got to be better than Geno Smith, that's for sure, right?
Absolutely. He just, I don't know. His play was so cringeworthy. It was real tough to watch sometimes. But, I'm not going to totally bash the dude. He had some good games also. The only memorable game I had was the last game that we beat you guys, and that kind of
Where
broke
he did the
the
Steph Curry
losing
thing.
streak. Eh,
He kind of
stuff
did the
like
Steph
that.
Curry thing, man, which I did. Like I was like,
Yeah.
what, man? He did the Steph Curry thing.
Yeah, I was like, come on, man, be original. But, like I said, I'm just excited about, what Darnold can do. And us after drafting Jalen Milroe from Alabama, he needs some polishing. So, I mean, sky's the limit. Our
Yeah.
future's bright quarterback wise.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique situation for Jalen Monroe to actually not be rush out there. You have a veteran quarterback in Sam Darnold, and then you guys brought back a familiar face as in Drew Lock. So it's like it makes
Yeah.
your quarterback room pretty decent. The most surprising part of the offseason was when the Rams actually released Cooper Kupp, man. They go from Devontae Adams after that, but then you guys end up getting this guy, man. So it had to be one of your – what was your reaction when you found out Seattle got this guy?
A little shocked, but not really. As you know, Cup is from the Pacific Northwest. Uh, it's home to him. I think if he was going to go anywhere else at this stage of his career after having the success in LA, it would probably be Seattle. Though I was one of those wishful thinkers because I believe he still got a lot, in the tank. People wanted to wash him up and kind of cast him off. But I think he came to the right team, the right situation, and I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. You know, he's not going to put up the gaudy numbers he had in LA, but he's going to be a real cog in this offense. And I can't wait to see how Kubiak meshes him in this offense.
Well, I mean, he's going to be a good veteran presence, of course. I mean, if the ball, they're mostly going to give more targets to Jackson Smith and Jigba, of course. But having that veteran guy on the other side actually makes a difference, which Cooper Kupp has shown that he can be a shifty, reliable target when he's healthy. So he may not be the same, but if he can get 1,000 yards within your guys' offense, that's a plus.
I would take 8. I mean, if he can just be a presence and just you know, Smith the Jigma is going to be the guy, but just be that secondary blanket and not only make it comfortable for Jackson Smith and Jigba, but also, you know, Sam Darnold. You know, he'll probably be playing in the slot, so he still can contribute in that area. But I'm excited. I haven't been excited about our offense in a while, and like I said, bringing Cooper over, bringing that veteran presence, it's gonna be something special.
It's gonna be a little different because you guys moved on from DK Metcalf and I mean Tyler Lockett. What was your thoughts when they moved on with these guys?
DK, I can totally understand. As great and as talented as he was, he really wasn't the type of guy that you would want on your team when things don't go, you know, your way. And I just think he was stagnated in Seattle. He needed to go somewhere where he can be appeased and, you know, kind of showcase his skill. I don't think our team was really built for him. And with the few years we had, it was just time to move on and do something new. I like what Coach Mike McDonald's doing in terms of just bringing in the right pieces for this particular offense. And like I said, I'm not going to say sky's the limit, but I think we're just taking really big steps. And like I said, it's not going to be, I don't think the NFC West is going to be just a one team dominant division. I think, you know, Arizona might be a team to contend with all these teams whose defense have improved. Arizona.
Yeah, I think Arizona's slowly making progress. They're slowly making moves. Yeah, and the coach is on a make or break year, so he's either got to get this team in the playoffs or not. So you see the offensive puzzles. They got some puzzles on the offense. Their defense is like you see that maybe their defensive line might make some promising because they drafted pretty well. When you look at the rest of what you guys did in the draft, man, I have to admit you got Torrey Horton, man. That guy might even be the steal of the draft. He might even be your slot receiver.
Yeah, but I think Torrey's the future. Torrey's a little still raw. I think he needs a year to learn the system and just learn how to play slot in that particular type of West Coast offense for Clint Kubiak. But I think he's going to be a pretty productive guy for years to come. And he was a steal of the draft. I'm surprised he went the way he went and Seattle grabbed him. But it remains to be seen. I got high hopes for him.
But we're definitely rooting for that kid, man, because he's from
here. Absolutely. So. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cheering for him.
And I feel like when you get going into the offseason, you guys made different changes and a lot of stuff, but I think your draft was pretty underrated. Like you look at the way you guys address your offensive line, you got Gray Zabel, which is not a sexy pick, but that's an important position to protect your quarterback.
Zabel is what you call a veteran who's a rookie. And that's why Seattle took him, because you can put him in now to start. And you can either put him on each side and he can start right now. And I think that's what Seattle needed as far as the offensive line is concerned, because, you know, your running backs is only as good as your offensive line. And in order for Charbonnet and Walker to flourish, we needed that guard presence. And I think Zabel's going to fit that bill.
Yeah. It can't be any worse than what your offensive line is by getting that guy. So it would be more like he can play either the guard spot. I mean, I've heard in college he even played a lot of spots, even the center position, even the tackle. So he's got a lot of versatility, but I think he's going to be playing guard. So
yeah, especially he's going to be probably on the left side. I think you know, I trust the process when it comes to how they're going about this. But they made some very, very, very under the radar,
Pickups, yeah.
specific pickups, for need. And I think it
Yeah.
was,
It's not the
you know,
flashy signings like everybody is talking about. Like you look at like going into the draft, going in the second round, I thought this was an intriguing pick. You guys got that safety from South Carolina. He's a big bodied safety, man. Like you're hoping he can be your next Cam Chancellor or the Kyle Hamilton of your defense.
if he can fit that mold, I mean, big body, can hit, very instinctive. Uh, watched a couple of games last year. He's a tough kid, and he's gonna be a nice added addition to that secondary. With Witherspoon back there and all those other guys. I think with Love and just one more year under the belt, and for these guys to not be LOB. For full disclosure, we're not there yet, but I see what the
Progress.
system is. Yeah, the system is in place. You put your cornerstones in, and I think he's a cornerstone dude. Witherspoon's a cornerstone dude. We got some cornerstones that they're implementing. So, I'm very, very pleased to see that these guys are elevating every year.
Yeah, like I think that's the main important part because what Mike Macdonald's bringing, he's bringing something that he brought to Baltimore, so it's going to slowly become what the Baltimore defense is. Then you look at the way you guys are running your offense; it's kind of similar to what the Niners are running or the Rams are running in general. The Vikings, I mean, it's pretty much like a similar system that you guys are running. That's why you got Sam Darnold. That's why I thought this made a lot of sense to get Sam Darnold. And I know there was quite a few Seattle people were saying, I don't see that happening, man. We ain't going to do that. And I said, trust me, you guys are going to do this because, one, you got Clint Kubiak. What does he want? He wants a guy that fits right into the system, and maybe Gino just wanted to get a fresh start.
I just think for the money that Gino wanted and for the return that we got back from him, it wasn't worth it. It was better to at least bring in a guy who's proven to win, not even regular season, but in the playoffs, and also not make it so much about him. Gino was about him. I need to get paid. I'm not worried about, helping out the team. He didn't want no hometown discount. So now you're the Raiders problem. So, with that, it is what it is. It's a business. So, it was time for everybody to just, change the scenery was definitely long overdue.
Yeah, change of scenery is always for the best, but you look at the rest of your guys' like going like the rest of the draft, I just thought it was a pretty interesting pick. Like the tight end for Miami, I was pretty high on this kid, and then the running back also. Like, man, you guys were pretty much hitting on these drafts, and then Ricky White, that was like your last pick, I believe. But man, what a good pick!
That was. Yeah, well, I'm surprised he stayed as long as he did, and for him to be there was like, whoa. But it's all about just talent, and I think we're getting younger, getting more, athletic. We're kind of long in the tooth in that aspect the last couple of years. So, I'm excited to see how these guys are going to pan out.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of like a good way to look at it. Like you get to see what you got with your young talent so far. So it's like, but you look at the rest of your division, like you said, it can be more than just a one-team thing. And we all know the Rams have been the team for quite a while. San Francisco, when healthy, they've shown they're more than capable. But you're looking at Arizona, they're just slowly on the cusp of maybe being a little bit more than what they are.
Yeah, and the last couple of years they've been showing, especially on the defensive side of the ball, they've been really playing stout, losing by very small, margin of games. So that was just a testament to the growth. Now, I don't know if, management is going to have a shorter leash for this coach and say, hey, you need to win now. So, I mean, for what he's got going on right now, I think, you should give him another year just to see what that defense can do and exactly what can Kyler Murray and his offensive weapons can do. But I think this division is going to be very intriguing, to say the least, at least on paper for right now.
It's going to be pretty intriguing, but it's like just from an outside looking in, I'm not really sure what Seattle can be right now. It's like you look at it, you look at the rest of the teams, you look at Arizona, this team has the cusp of being something like under the radar. You look at the Rams, they're proving when Stafford's around. San Francisco, we just know when they're healthy, they're very capable. But then when you look at Seattle, what are we expecting from Seattle? Like the defense is a work in progress. Their offense is going to be a little different with Sam Darnold. Like what I got to see Sam Darnold prove it again, bro. Like he did it in Minnesota when it was pretty stacked. This is going to be a
Well,
challenge right here.
the defensively, I'm not really worried about the defense because last year you've seen it. I mean, the first half of the season, our defense was atrocious. We were like the bottom half of the rankings, and I just think after midway point of the season, that defense gelled. Leonard Williams was a stallmate in that defense, and he was playing spectacular. And those guys really gelled. I'm not really worried about the defense. Offensively, of course, when you get a new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, new system, it's going to be some kinks. But I just think we got the right people to put these guys in the right position. I think we'll be okay. Are we
Yeah,
a playoff team? That still remains to be seen. But I can definitely say we won't be a cellar dweller per se. Now, injuries always plays a part, and that's with any of the teams.
yeah,
But
bro.
it's if I had to, I would say Arizona is the team with the biggest question mark. I think Seattle got the right personnel in order to at least ascend better than they did last year.
So you think Arizona might be the more question mark because it's a make or break year for them, but I feel like the most question mark
Absolutely.
to me is what Seattle team are we getting? Actually, it's like I know, like you said, the defense is making huge progress. They're making big improvement, but like you said, the offense could be something questionable because you don't have Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf is gone, but you got Cooper Cup and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Now you're hoping that
Mhm.
maybe this can make up the loss of these guys and you guys can still produce at the same time. But I think, like you said, it's going to be a little bit more of a running game. But Kenneth Walker stay healthy, bro? That's the one question from this guy because he's a good running back, but just cannot stay healthy for some reason.
Because when your offensive line is poor, your quarterbacks usually get killed.
Yeah,
And Walker, I kind of honestly I thought they were going to trade him for some strange reason, but because of Charbonnet's emergence, and maybe I'm assuming that this is going to be a 1-2 punch for the offense, but everything starts with our offensive line. If we can run the football, I think we can beat anybody in the division, including the almighty
yeah, with a good
49ers.
offensive line, you could.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, our defense isn't the question. Our defense can actually stop teams. But now you guys got a lot of question marks also. I
Yeah, there's
mean,
a lot of
you
questions
just
because it's a lot of young talent, a lot of guys that kind of left, and then you got a lot of question marks with the offensive line. It's a
and
little
a
bit
lot
of
of
question
questions
marks
with
here
whether
and
or
there.
not
Like you're
Burke
looking at
Park.
the guys who can replace.
Well, also that, but you think Brock Purdy, you think he's not say cave to the pressure, but he just signed a very massive contract. So you don't think there's a level of, you know, pressure to get you guys back to where you guys need to be in the Super Bowl? Or is it one of those years where, you know, yeah, he got paid, he had a good season, but everything else didn't go right?
Really depends on how this team performs because you're right. There is a lot of questions. Like we let go a lot of these veterans, and we're gonna go with young guys. We're putting our money on the draft, so it's like can this rookie class contribute? Can some of our guys stay healthy? Because that's the only question mark I have about this team. If we can stay healthy, there's a chance we can make a run, but it just has to come down to the rookie class contributing and the veterans staying healthy. Like I'm not expecting too much from Trent Williams. Like if he can stay healthy for maybe about 15 or 14 games out of the season, then I'm cool with it. But McCaffrey, I'm concerned about because if he doesn't stay healthy, how are we going to change our offense? It's going to be a little different.
Right, right. And it's all about the adjustments. And I just think we all, I think this whole division has a lot of question marks. And the only way we're going to find those question marks out is, first of all, it's got to start September 7th with you
Yep,
guys.
the first week of the season, let's see how Seattle responds against San Francisco, how they would respond. Both teams, there's two question marks on both teams, actually. Like,
Right,
you have a
right,
quarterback question mark because you went from Geno to Sam Darnold.
correct.
San Francisco, can this team actually go back to what they used to be? because it wasn't too long ago we went to the Super Bowl, but we still got some pieces that we're fixing and all that other stuff.
And also, how do you guys adjust to not having Debo in that offense?
Oh yeah,
You
I
know,
think that's
and
the question, because when we had Debo, he made the offense more of a chess piece for us. But now that he's gone, we're gonna have to change up a little more and go with a little bit of somebody else. Like they're pretty high on this kid Ricky, so I think they have him as that go-to receiver. Jennings has emerged, but the question is, how much money is he gonna get this upcoming season? I think we're probably gonna let him bet himself, and I'm sure he's looking for a big payday. So I think this is the year Jennings is going to go off, and maybe a team might just pay him a top dollar to be the number one receiver, which I'm concerned about because we might let that dude walk, and that might be something. But they like Ricky a lot, so Ricky might take that Debo role or something.
Well, that's just, that's a testament to having your scouts and having that depth.
Doing the job, yeah.
If you can let a guy like that leave and you still got somebody that can come in and kind of fill those shoes. But listen, it's going to be a different look, not just for the Niners, not just for the Seahawks, but everybody's going to have a different look until I say at least week 5, and then we'll know exactly.
Week 5 gives us more ideas, First,
right,
how they say the first few weeks of the season, it's kind of like still a preseason. You're still getting a little bit of the tune-up a little bit. So until, like you said, week 5, you're probably getting the idea of what this team can be down the stretch.
Right.
Like,
but right now, it's on paper, it's it's all speculation. But I will say this. I think defensively for all 4 teams, because all 4 teams defensively improved last season, I think that's going to carry over. So I think I just got a feeling here that this division is going to be kind of a black and blue division. It's not going to be a lot of points, even though all the offenses have a tendency to, go off, But I just think everybody's
you're hoping this division goes back to what it used to be. Like, remember how a couple seasons ago it used to be like 3 of the NFC West teams making the playoffs. You had the Rams and the Cardinals and the Niners making the playoffs that year, which was insane. Mm-hmm. The only time Seattle made the playoffs that year was in 2022. But other than that, that was the last time that Pete Carroll was the coach, if I'm mistaken.
That was Carroll's last year, and that was like, it was the backside of everything as a whole.
Yeah, and things had to change from there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As much as Pete Carroll will always be in the grand lore of Seattle history, but there was a time, we had to go another direction. I'm glad they brought in Mike Macdonald, a defensive guy that understands
young, energized type of defensive-minded guy that has some more innovative ideas. He comes from a Baltimore coaching tree, so he's got
a player's coach. Yeah, definitely a player's coach. And like I said, I love his defensive. He's from that defensive tree of. Oh my God, he's actually from one of the defensive trees of old Buddy Ryan at 4'6". So he's actually. He's a filtered down guy from that,
even though comes from that Baltimore tree, that's a little different too. Yeah, you get the Ryans and all that other stuff.
But Baltimore tree was a part of that 4'6" tree also.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. So it's just, there's different variances of the defenses, but the architectural cluster
is going to be a little different. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm really excited to, nobody's talking about us. Nobody has no expectation for us. And that's the way I like it, because
no pressure
can be on you. The pressure can be on you guys to win.
No, actually, the pressure can be on the Rams. The Rams actually were the closest to beat the Eagles. They could have been to the Super Bowl.
Well, that's true. But you guys are the golden child of the division now.
Like 2 seasons. Like last year we were, but now the pressure is gone. Like we're going
you think so?
We can. Yeah, but you look at the Rams. Last year they had a chance to get there.
Yeah, but you had Matthew Stafford. He really didn't have any receivers. Puka Nacua was always banged up. Yeah, Devontae Adams might help, but I don't really. Like I said, it's the defenses. The Rams also played they came up a little short against the Eagles, but they had probably one of the better defenses in the league also.
Oh, dude,
So yeah,
they had a pretty promising defensive line too. But
Mhm.
if you look at it,
Very
man,
well.
like, Barkley made the Rams defense look like a what is it, like a little league type of team that just couldn't tackle him, dude. That's how
Well,
bad.
yeah, 'cause it's Saquon Barkley, and the Eagles had the
200
best of
yards in a
everything.
consecutive matchup on the Rams, bro. Even in the regular season, in the playoffs, he ran 200 yards on that defense. Oh.
Yes,
If the Rams had
because
linebackers, maybe they had a chance, bro. But looking at how they are, bro, they don't approach linebackers like this.
well, the thing is, Philadelphia, they're a running team. Their
They
offensive
are.
line is massive, and they pretty much they bullied the Rams. So they had no answer for Saquon. Saquon could do whatever he wanted to do because everybody knows the Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in
Yeah,
football.
they do.
So
They were more
it's a
like
given.
bullies out there, yeah.
No, absolutely. But the Rams, they have a very speedy defense, very opportunistic. They make plays. I mean, the last time we played them, it was a close game, but I mean, that defense was pretty stout. I mean, pretty much smothered Geno, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be real interesting to see these defenses
So you believe the pressure's on us, even though we had one of our most disappointing seasons last year. Okay. I can see that. Because like you
I
said,
only
we're the
say
golden
that
standard.
well, and I only say that because you guys have set that standard by making it to the Super Bowl, by just beating everybody and being that dominant team. Having those unfortunate injuries and setbacks that kind of kept you guys from getting there. And it's like, okay, it's pressure on Shanahan, not so much the organization, but it's a pressure on this coach to either put up or shut up
Yeah,
because
put
you're
up or shut up or
wasting.
get over the hump at least. I mean,
Yeah,
it's nice to
yeah,
get to the Super Bowl, but come on, get the job
got
done
to
at
win it.
least.
You got to win it. You got to win it. And I'm not saying you guys got the absolute pressure, but I mean there's pressure for you guys to you know be back in the fold of being one of the elite teams in the league.
Yeah, get back
Granted,
to
the
where we
Rams
used to
supposed to be
be.
there too, right?
But it really
Nobody's
depends on the
talking
young
about that.
talent.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Because I mean, you're going to replace majority of your defensive line. So you still got Nick Bosa, but you're taking all the veterans out of the equation. So you're going young with defensive line. Dre Greenlaw is a big loss to my opinion because he was a tone setter. So what kind of role are you going to see from Dee Winters, or is Nick Martin's going to be that rookie that just beats him out and takes that starting role with Fred Warner? Like, that's the question mark I want to know is who's going to replace Dre Greenlaw's role, because I think that's the most important role to me, because when Fred Warner has that complimentary, bro, he plays his best football too. But secondary to me is like, who's going to play that role that Ward played at? So maybe Trey Brown might step in, okay, or really depends on what kind of role we have with these cornerbacks. Maybe we sign Asante Samuel. Maybe if he checks out, maybe we take a flyer on him.
It's always that possibility, but I would, you guys got Trey Brown for a reason. We just had to let him go because we just had a way too much of a talented secondary to keep him, and he wasn't. I would, I hated that we had to let him go, but then he went to you guys, and it was kind of a slap in the face. But you guys got a cornerback. I'm not saying he's going to change your team, but he's definitely going to contribute for you guys. So
No, he's going to
that
help
kind of
in a
thing.
different way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
No, I think his versatility is what they like about him. Plus, he's already been familiar with the defense that you guys ran before you guys had Mike McDonald. I think
Right.
the regression of what happened last year was because the defense was a little different. And not to make excuses for Trey Brown, but I think the scheme was a little different for him, and I don't think it fitted his kind of style of play. So I think what
No,
Trey's going to bring to the table is maybe he'll have that type of similar system that what he had with Pete Carroll, but maybe he might be kind of like what DJ Reed was a little bit.
maybe a little bit. Wife's here. One sec.
Oh, it's all good, man.
But absolutely. All right. All right. Podcast. Sorry.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
All right. But what were we talking about? I lost track of everything.
No, we were talking about we were just talking about like the player like Trey Brown, and you were telling
Yeah.
me how he might be a good fit for us.
Well, he's going to help. Uh, Maybe not being in a nickel slot where he was in Seattle, where he really didn't flourish very well. So I'm assuming that they picked him up because they have a spot for him. That's an area need for you guys.
Yeah, I think his role is probably going to be an outside. I think that's where they're going to have him at right now. But we did draft this kid from Western Kentucky who can play slot, but I think they want Lenore to play the nickel mostly because that's where he's been really good at. So
Right.
I think they're comfortable with him playing nickel right now, or else they would have been okay with him playing outside. But since Trey Brown has versatility, he would probably be your outside guy. So maybe that's where
That's
they
what I
like
was
him.
thinking. That's what I was thinking. Because it was hard for him to play in Seattle with Witherspoon coming in there and basically just kind of phasing him out the defense because, Witherspoon is such a stud. But, that's the
Yeah, you're
business
gonna
of it. Yeah,
Yeah, you're going to see a
that's
little
definitely
difference
the
of
business
what
of
you
it.
guys got. I mean, you guys got the foundation, but Tyreek Woolen, when healthy, he's kind of shown a little bit of what he can be, but it's like,
This is a make or break year for him. It's
yeah,
really, you know what, you really have to show what you can do, or, we might have to go another direction here. But, there's so many good corners out there that's, that you can kind of get through the draft or, maybe free agency or maybe even a trade, just depending on the need. But, Seattle is so stacked back there. And then they just brought back Shaquille Griffin for, just a veterans insurance policy, which is smart. So,
yeah,
bringing a
you'll bring in
familiar
somebody
face.
you're familiar with, and he can actually help your team
Absolutely.
in a way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I feel like some of your guys' pieces was a linebacker spot. But I feel like when you guys got Ernest Jones, I think you guys kind of like actually like made a huge difference by getting that guy because the Rams couldn't afford to pay this guy. And then how the heck did the Titans even get this guy in the first place? And then they get rid of this guy. Like what was that?
Well, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So, we were able to get him, and Mike McDonald I don't know what Mike McDonald seen in this dude, but we know why he went out and grabbed him.
Maybe he was a
For
fit
the
on your
team.
guys' defense more at this
Oh,
point.
oh my
So
God, he's been a stud ever since. And it's just like I said, it's just going to be exciting to see him, and then you see the development of our, oh my God,
Knight.
he's a second year guy of Knight, yes, and also our veteran who just came back, Bo Moffitt, coming back from injury.
Yeah, boy
So
Moffitt's that rusher. Yeah, he's like a
yeah,
solid
but
rusher.
he's a hybrid. He plays an end. You could put him in a linebacker, but he really eats when he plays on the edge. But you got all those Swiss Army knives, but Ernest Jones was just that missing compartment. Because we also early in the year we traded for who was that linebacker from Miami? We traded for him before the year started, and then we end up getting rid of him. And then that's
Ooh,
when
you're
we
talking
brought in
about the
Jones.
guy that was on the I forget his name, but he was a special teamer, and then you guys used him a lot on that.
Well, yeah, but I forgot his name right now.
But I
I
remember he
want to
was
say
on one of the scuffle fights with Puka. I think he was the one that got him ejected.
got him ejected. Yeah, yeah. I
I
really
think I'm
forgot
trying
his
to
name
remember his
right now.
name. Let me look it up. I'm
Yeah,
gonna look
it's
up
left
his
my
name.
brain right now. I was just like, what is his name? Because he was only there for a cup of coffee, and I think they tried to see because he was very fast. He had very great lateral speed, but just
Yeah, I'm
couldn't
gonna
keep
look
his
him up.
hair
I
right.
think I know what guy you're talking about, but I just can't get the specific memory of the guy. Let's see. Because I know he was a guy you guys had for a little bit, and he was on your guys'. Oh, Dotson.
Dotson, yes, Tyrell Dotson.
Yeah, he was there
Yeah.
for a short minute. Then he went to Miami.
Then he went to Miami, and then we brought in so we brought in Jones, and been right as rain ever since. Sometimes and well, like I said, the Rams didn't want to pay him, and but the guy was so talented. The guy just fits our defensive scheme.
Yeah,
So
the Rams kind of approach as, oh, we don't believe in high-end linebackers. We don't believe in those top-out linebackers. We can get any linebacker off the streets and we'll be okay. That's what their approach is.
I mean, if it works, but if it doesn't work, guess what?
Yeah. Well, they might have got a steal with Chris Paul Jr. from Ole Miss, which I was really upset we didn't even get that guy.
Yeah.
Man, I
Yeah.
thought that dude was gonna be a good fit, man. But man, I'm hoping Nick Martin pays off, man, because I'm not really liking this Nick Martin kid, bro. He came from Oklahoma State. I'm not a big fan of the Cowboy kind of team, but
Can you put your college bias to the side? He's on the
no, but
Niners.
but if you watch his tape, he plays bigger than his size. But it's like he wasn't healthy last year. His coverage is something I kind of question because I'm watching some of his coverage coming out of Oklahoma State, and I'm like, man, you can put a running back on him and he can't cover. Even a tight end can't even a tight end. But I see that he's a good hybrid linebacker, but he might be your good run stopper. I look at his tape and I'm saying I can see why they like this kid, but I guess he's an undersized guy like Drake Greenlaw, but more of a he's just more of a he doesn't cover good is the only downside. That's the only concern I have with Nick Martin is his coverage is just a little atrocious from what I was watching. But when you watch his tape, he can be physical on the line of scrimmage.
Well, and I mean, 1 out of 2 ain't bad. You can be physical at the line of scrimmage. You can probably disrupt the run. Maybe you can use him in certain kind of packages like that. But But
yeah, but
you know
D
what?
Winters looks more advanced right now. So I think D Winters is probably going to be the clear winner right now because his coverage is like really good. But if Nick Martin has a good camp, then maybe I can see the argument. But I've been watching a lot of Nick Martin tape, and I'm like saying, dude, I can see what they like about him, but it's the durability and it's the coverage that I question the most. If he can get his coverage better, then I don't got a problem with him. But you had Chris Paul on your lap and he slipped. You had Danny Stutzman on your lap.
Yeah.
Slip away, man. You got my Oklahoma guy just going to the Saints, man. Come on. That had to be something bummer and then there was a UCLA player that slipped into the cracks and he had a pretty solid 40 time if I'm mistaken, but he was there. I mean, there was a lot of options, but I could be wrong. Maybe in a couple years he might be the best linebacker for all I know. But I think that's the one pick I didn't like was him. Just because I watched his tape and I'm like saying he looks good, but his coverage just kind of like makes me concerned a little bit.
Right.
He's got to cover because you can put because when I was watching a lot of the games in college when he was playing against certain competition, I can see Shedeur Sanders torching that direction when he was covering the tight end or somebody else. I've seen it from even my Sooners who played the Oklahoma State Cowboys at times. I've seen how they were able to use Braden Willis to beat this dude in coverage, torch him. And I'm like, man, why did we get this guy? He gets beat.
Because he can tackle.
He can tackle, but his coverage is just a.
But it's like I said, it just depends on what they need him for, what they're going to use him for.
But he can be good.
He lacks.
He might be good.
Yeah. I mean, what he lacks in one thing, he might not lack in something else. That's just like Damian Martinez when we drafted him out of Miami.
Oh, he's
kind of excited about it, and then they, I think they relegated him to the practice squad right now. So I don't know how that's going to work out.
Him this year's draft, but
we drafted him this year.
I wanted that kid in the draft, but instead we got the Oregon kid. And I'm like, man, we could have got.
Well, the Oregon kid is nice too. No.
He all right. I mean, he kind of seems more like I can see why they like him because he's not the fastest, but he's good enough. He might just be a patient runner. But if I'm being honest with you, I like the kid that we got undrafted from Cincinnati. Corey Kiner seems more of a better running back. He's a patient runner, and he breaks tackles. When I watch Jordan James's tape, he can be a nice runner, but if you tackle him, he's down. Corey Kiner, you might have to tackle him a couple times.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of his games. Easily rattled.
I was hoping for a physical kind of running back. I was hoping for somebody like Damian Martinez to come to mind, but you guys got a steal out of him.
Well, I mean, he was there, and McDonald likes those physical runners. That's why. Oh, absolutely.
Letting Jordan
Absolutely.
Mason go was probably because they didn't want to pay him the big dollars. I get it, but man, dude, you needed somebody that can get you those tough yards.
Well, how do you feel about Garendo?
Oh,
Garendo's
Garendo's
pretty
got the
serviceable.
most upside potential, but he's
Mhm.
still kind of new to the position. He's still kind of raw, so it's like he's still trying to learn to run to the holes and all that. He's a solid receiving back, which I'll give him credit for. I mean,
Mhm.
he's probably at least the second heaviest running back right now, and he runs the fastest 40 for his size. So I think I think there's different ways how you can utilize him in this offense. Like he can run through the holes and like he can go for one big play to where maybe you might get a couple yards out of him, and then the next couple of plays he might break in a big play. That might be what you're looking at, but
Yeah.
consistency wise, I think he's a nice solid backup.
Yeah. 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 If you guys gotta kind of replace old Jordan, that was such a big loss for you guys. Just like even for us, our receiver room, our running back room is kind of crowded. They moved Martinez to the practice squad, I believe, and then we still got Kenny McIntosh who starting to kind of show what he can do. Uh, being a back that can come out to the backfield and catch, and so it's more just okay. What can I use and what's more effective
Yeah, what's more
at our running
effective?
back?
I
Right.
think what they like about Garendo is because he's very athletic. He can move a lot, but I think the one thing I didn't see, I have my own criticism on certain picks, man. I just wasn't feeling the Garendo pick until I started seeing more of his game more. I'm like, man, he's still more of a work in progress. Maybe I can see why they like him. As the season went on, he kind of showed promising, but there was other running backs that I could have wanted, man, but they didn't take those running backs. So I'm just hoping it works out for this guy. I'm hoping that he comes into the scene and just breaks out. But he the knock on Garendo is durability, man. He just hasn't shown to be healthy, and that's why he missed a couple of games when he was given the opportunity, man. But he does have the speed. He does have the talent that you look at and say, oh yeah, he kind of gives you a little bit of that Raheem Mostert, man. Just he's about a 10 or 20 pound version of what Mostert is, just a little heavier but more fast. But yeah,
I concur. I concur with that one.
yeah, because if you watch the game on that Thursday night game, he had that one big run where he could have just scored a touchdown, dude. He just said, I was just going to just play it safe and just go down.
I mean, it's smart. I mean, they were winning the game, so I mean, why? Jordan already got hurt, so why risk it? You know what I mean? And I think that
Yeah.
was also a knock on Jordan, also that he couldn't stay healthy neither. So
Man, Jordan Mason was such a nice physical running back, but I hate that we let these guys go because they would have been better to stay. But they like to go cheap on this route and they like to go with these other guys. But like you said, maybe Jordan James might be nice. But from watching this tape, man, he's a nice, solid receiving back. He does good on the like he'll run well to the holes. But when it comes to like contacting him, he might just go down. But for the other guy from Cincinnati that we just got undrafted, I think he's a little bit better for some reason. Like, I don't know what it is about the undrafted running backs. I think we just have a knack for these guys.
I think that's where you find most of your jewel in the roughs, per se. You find
Yeah.
most of your talent uh, in those areas. You might find a guy that you can use as serviceable and can actually come in and say if your main guy get hurt, he can come in and actually be effective.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. But yeah, we're definitely looking forward to this upcoming season, bro. I know there's a lot more to talk about, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as soon as I
Yes.
get this StreamYard thing figured out soon, man. Maybe when it comes to the season, like week 1, we can do something down the road.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward for that. Yeah, we can definitely do that. Definitely, definitely. I can't wait. Oh my God, actually get ready for work and get some other stuff going on with the content and read rankings and all those numbers and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that. So
most
next time
definitely,
we
man.
link up, we'll have some subject matter to
Yeah.
tug on.
Whenever you got some free time, maybe we can just catch up over there, talk some football like we did the other day, and we can probably just go with the flow, like they say, man. Like you know, like get a good conversation, talk. Because
Yeah,
I know our division, man, it's going to be something interesting. Even though we have our despise on the team, we always want the best for our division. We always want them to be successful, you know.
absolutely. And it's just like I said, it's fun when everybody's healthy, everybody's competing. You got good rivalry, so it makes better conversation. So like I said, maybe we can link up and have that kind of conversation. Maybe get a roundtable going. We get a Cardinal fan and a Ram fan. We get a good, healthy conversation about the division.
Might have to look for one of those, but I don't know about the Cardinals, man. They ain't easy to find, man. They're just hidden around like aliens or something, man.
Well, you know what? I can probably find one.
I have to
If
go
we
to
have to,
Arizona, man. I have to go down Arizona to go look for one.
no, you can actually go to Laughlin.
I know I'm just
You
messing
gotta go
around
there.
with that, man. I'm just messing around, but yeah, no, because I mean, when I went down to Arizona before, that's all you seen is a little bit of. It's kind of like how you support Fresno State, right? You know how you have your local area, but when you go to Arizona, they kind of support it like it's Fresno State.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's a
when I use
smaller
that
part. But I know when
reference,
I
man,
was
we
in
might have to
Laughlin,
go down to the desert to go get one.
we might have to. We might have to get right. Yeah, but I mean, they're out there.
They're
Just
out
don't
there,
see
but
too many out
it's
here.
like the Browns fans. They're like aliens too, man.
I think I know only like 2 Browns fans.
I
I
know
can count on my
plenty of
hand.
Rams. I know plenty of Rams personally, but it's like a lot of them just don't even come around. They only come around when their team is doing well. That's the only thing I've seen from the Rams. No, like
I got a
I'll admit there is some legitimate Rams fans I know personally, but like you won't hear from them unless they're doing well. That's the only difference.
well. That's most of them. That's most of them. Yeah. I know a couple of Rams fans when they're winning. They're on social media. They're posting and they're bragging, and then they lose 3 in a row, and like they're nowhere to be found. And
But at
it's
least
like,
both of us will still be talking, even if our team was that bad.
well, yeah, because why hide? You take
Why
it on the
hide? You
chin,
know,
and
but they're hiding.
well, that's a testament to them. See, we don't hide because we're smarter than that.
We show like consistency. There's a difference, but yeah, like dude, we can
Yeah.
be 2-14 for all we care.
Well, like they say, if we're don't be around when we're 14-2 if you wasn't around when we were 2-14. You know what I mean? So, if you're gonna be a fan, be a fan. Like I said, I went through years, like I said, I've been a Seahawks fan for almost 30 years. So I had to go through the Seahawks. Who are that? I had to go through that. And
I mean,
then
you had to go through a different kind of perspective. Like you kind of like grew out of your other fan, but became more of a Seattle fan as you got older. So you kind of fell more into that team more. Like people find a purpose and say, "Well, maybe I like this team more because it fits my personality."
yeah, no. I honestly I was dude, I think I was 8 or 9 when I became a Seahawks fan. So it was kind of like, oh, you know what? I like the colors, and they always come in and play the Raiders stuff. So you know what? Okay. But over the years, we had to, let people know who we were. Now people know who we are, but they'll hold you only won 1 championship since 1976. Well, you know what? If everybody was the Niners, if everybody was the Pittsburgh Steelers, if everybody was the New England
Yeah,
Patriots and can
not
buy
everybody
those
can win a lot of
championships.
championship. I mean,
No, it's not an easy thing to do,
not
especially
easy.
now. But
Look
it's
at the
better to get
Chicago Bears. What was the last time they won the Super Bowl? Sheesh.
85.
85 and probably one of the greatest defense, but you still get a ring out of it. So
Yeah, and you still can say, hey, that team had one of the greatest defenses ever assembled.
yeah,
When we won ours, we
with a
didn't have one of
dominant
the greatest.
defense.
Well, we had probably one of the top 10 defenses of all time, I could say.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even say, I want to say top 5, but I don't want to be biased because I'm a Seahawks fan. But
now
top
you
10
can
for
make an
sure.
argument about a top 5 defense, man. You guys had at least a top 5 because in that Super Bowl, you made Peyton Manning look like an afterthought, man. Peyton Manning just didn't look ready. The tone
It was
setting hits, man, the plays, man. You guys, like, I think it was mostly the defense taking care of business, but Russell did his part, of course. But you saw that
Russell
the defense
managed the
made
game.
turnovers.
Russell managed the game the way he was supposed to manage the game. We had one of the best running backs probably in the league that year in beast mode,
Which
who
he
I was
actually was
still
like a consistent runner, even with even with the offensive line that you guys had, it may not have been like the one that Alexander had, but at least you guys were able to hold on to that spot.
No, but it was still a pretty good offensive line because, I mean, it wasn't as great as, Alexander's, but it was pretty good. And then, once we lost Hutchinson, we kind of lost our swagger after that. But we're getting there. We'll stride back. It takes a minute. But
It takes a while. Yeah, it does take a
yeah,
while.
I'm excited about old Gray, coming in and, lining up with some of our guys, Forsythe and the rest of those dudes. So, hopefully they can gel, and hopefully, Darnold can get the protection he needs and not get happy feet, and and it's not a disaster.
Well, you're hoping for the best. I mean, some Seattle fans are kind of questioning it. Maybe it might be okay. Maybe it might not be fine, but you got to see how it works.
Well, some of us are glass half full, glass half empty. It just depends on your perspective. Me, I'm just like, I'm going to wait and see. I'm not going to cast any aspersions. I'm not going to say he's going to fail. I'm not going to say, now was he my first choice in quarterback? No. But I'd rather bring somebody in that's a step up above Geno because he's a upgrade from what we had. So now we did lose, huh?
So who was like your other option? Who would you want at quarterback if it wasn't like, let's say Sam Darnold wasn't an option and you can move on from Geno? Who would it be?
I hate to say it, and people might, they might think I'm plumb loco, which I mean I can care less. But I would have took a flyer with Kirk Cousins.
Ooh, see, I can see why you go with him because he's a seasoned vet. He's ahead of the system. It may not be the most flashy guy, but he can get you there. But just got to learn to finish.
Yeah, and Geno has that same problem, but I'd rather take Cousins over Geno. A lot of people might think I'm crazy, but I'm like, well, what have Geno done since taking over? Yeah. Won us a few games, but what has he done?
Once, that's about it.
Yeah. And like I said, the only thing that stands out was the last time we beat you guys last season. Other than that.
But, like, let's say hypothetically, Carr didn't have any serious, like, let's say he wasn't going to retire. Let's say he had the option to leave the Saints. Would you guys even consider him that he probably would have taken that opportunity?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because I think he wanted to get out of New Orleans. Let's be honest.
I think they probably would have asked him first before Darnold, the best available. And yeah, I just said at that time it was Kirk Cousins because I knew that,
he's a step
that
ahead
guy
of the
wasn't
system.
Available. Yeah. Just bring in a guy that knows the system.
And he's a safe choice, so he can either get you there or not, but at least he gives you consistent numbers. But I think with Sam Darnold, you're hoping that you can get a far better Geno Smith version.
I'm hoping he can be the Sam Darnold he was in Minnesota last year.
Yeah.
If I can get half of that, I'm good. And like I said, for Walker to stay healthy and, our offensive line to just do what it needs to do and be consistent and not also have those injuries also.
Oh, yeah. So as far as all that, man, we can get to the final conclusion and go with so how do you look at your prediction from Seattle? Like, how do you look at them? How do you feel about their overall? It could change within the season, but what's your prediction, honestly, just realistically?
I predict barring, any injuries or barring any, thing major happening, I at least see us. I can honestly say we can be a wild card.
Okay, so a sleeper team, a wild card team coming into the mix. Okay, maybe 10 wins can be your
10 wins. We can get in at 10-7 or however you can get in for the wild card. I'm just saying that's going to be my safest bet. Worst case scenario, maybe we'll finish 500 like we did. Well, actually, no, we didn't finish 500 last year, but we'll be better. We're not where we need to be, but I think we'll be better than we were last year. So I'm like I said, wild card.
Okay, I see that you're very optimistic. You're hoping that it goes that way, bro. We just got to see how that goes. Week 1 we'll have an idea. Going into week 5, we'll see how it goes. But hey, we'll see how it plays out, man. But the crazy part is Niners and Seahawks, they start the season at the beginning and they start at the end. Crazy.
Ain't that crazy? That
Yeah,
is
like
nuts.
we
But
start off going in Seattle, then you have to end it down Levi's.
yeah, that's just crazy. But
Like you would have thought that,
definitely
right?
gonna have
But
to.
we have to wait
Yeah,
like a couple months into the season.
yeah, that was nuts. I was because they didn't really announce it right away, and I'm like, well, okay, are we gonna play? I know we got to play, twice,
I thought we were going to play the
but
Colts at first.
right, right. But I like the way they did that. First game of the season, last game. So you put the cherry on the top, and then you got the whipped
Maybe
cream on
this
the other
has some
side.
implication for the division. Who knows?
Maybe the
Maybe.
universe knows something we don't.
We don't know, man. This is what can go on. But yeah, bro, thank you for
Absolutely.
your time, bro. I know you got a lot to do, man. We'll definitely catch up sometime. And for everybody else, man, check out D Wiggins, man. You got a YouTube channel or no?
It's in the works. I'll keep you guys posted on that. But I'll be around.
Okay, man. You'll be around. Okay. All right, I got you,
I'll
man.
be
For
around.
everybody else, thank you guys for tuning in. You guys have a great day.